I wanted to talk about conflict, not necessarily what it is. I hope we all understand that conflict is some sort of disagreement, a debate on who's right or wrong. Well, it may be a debate or it may be a fight, it may be many things, but more so how we handle conflict, how we resolve it, how we interact with other people when we're in conflict, or how we act towards ourselves in conflict, because conflict can bring on stress, a range of emotions that if we haven't worked on composure and thought out what may be going on, we may not be acting in our best nature. So, the first thing with conflict is that if we're in conflict with someone else, we need to realize that one of us can be wrong. So many people resort to yelling, resort to violence, resort to pushing their point of why they believe it to be true. But remember, you don't listen to someone else's viewpoint. You better hope that you're in the right. Because if you're in the wrong and you continue to believe what you believe in without listening to someone else's point, you're never going to change your mind. You're never going to be open to hearing the other side. That's why I think it's so important to think about conflict before you're in it, to understand what it even means. We hear arguments about people yelling or fighting over something, and when you break it down to what are they actually yelling about, or what are they fighting about, or ruining a relationship about, it comes down to one thing: being unable to agree, being closed-minded, being uncomposed. Maybe it's multiple things, but any one thing can lead to, I shouldn't say conflict is bad, conflict can be good, but more so it's the outcomes that result from unchanneled conflict, right? Unchanneled, or I should say channeled in a wrong direction. So much as to where people try to avoid conflict, they try to avoid a disagreement or speaking their opinions on someone else or an idea because of how they've seen it unfold in past events. Conflict is good. Conflict is how we change an opinion, change a mindset, whether it's our own or someone else's. And the first step is for someone to be open minded. If you're trying to work on yourself, then that's great. If you're using this to work on someone else, if you're looking for a solution to open someone else's mind and to change their opinion on a topic, then sorry to tell you, but it's going to be a tough role to try and fulfill if you're trying to change someone else's mind, because it's hard enough to change your own. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to change someone else's mind if there's a way they could improve. And definitely, if you're watching this, you should try to improve yourself. And that's why I want to talk about understanding conflict as a disagreement, being open-minded to, hey, could I be wrong? Or maybe the other person's wrong. But even if you 100% believe you're right, it will never hurt to have more information in your arsenal. If someone else is willing to give their opinion on a topic, no matter how much you know about it, they may give an example in a way you haven't thought of, or they may give an example on their side of the argument and open your mind to a point that you never considered. Because all of our minds are unique and we think of things in different ways. And when we all come together, the solutions and ideas we can make are much better than if we think alone. So don't be afraid of conflict with someone else's idea. Use it to your advantage. As I've said before, but if someone says something, it's either a fact or it's made up. If it's a fact, then use it and take it because you just learned something. And if it's made up, then who cares? If they're making stuff up, it doesn't matter. It's made up. So listen to other people. Hear it in a way they understand it, whether it's a kid, an enemy, right? No matter who it is, listen to what they have to say. And as far as shutting it down, you've heard of defense mechanisms people use to shut down an opposing idea. Maybe it's yelling, maybe it's violence, maybe it's walking away. Maybe they say, okay, yeah, you're right, and shut out the conversation. And understanding that them using a defense mechanism is shutting it down. And the reason that helps to understand is because if you find yourself doing that, if you find someone giving an opposing idea to you and you get this feeling inside that you do not want to listen to them, or it irritates you, or you feel like you want to just run away because you can't stand to hear it, that should raise concerns of what your mindset is like if it's popping up defense mechanisms to shut out that person's idea. Closed-minded people are so quick to shut down someone else's idea. And I love an idea. I love hearing ideas, no matter how good or bad, because any progress is good progress. No matter how realistic or unrealistic the idea is, someone's giving you ideas that should already make you happy that they're thinking outside of the box. They're thinking of ways to improve. They're thinking of ideas for themselves. So conflict is good. What may not be so good is how we handle it. Don't handle it with hate or negativity. Don't shut it down. Talk about it. Figure out why someone else believes what they do and share why you believe what you do. And maybe you can brainstorm a new idea that brings you both to a conclusion. Or maybe you realize that you were wrong or they were wrong. Maybe you're both right. Maybe you're both wrong. The point is, you're never going to figure out unless you talk about it. And yelling at violence and shutting an idea down is never going to progress you anywhere. It's just going to solidify your bad habits and make you, fuel your ego, make you feel like what you're doing is right when it may not be. I'll leave you with one more thing, and it was on yelling. It was kind of a good way to look at why we yell at people. And to start, when you are very connected with someone, or maybe it's an intimate moment, you feel very close to them, there's a time where you don't have to talk. You don't have to make a noise, communicate. Just being next to that person, you feel very close to them. And you can feel a connection without having to say a word. You're both on the same page. On the other hand, it says when you're yelling, that's when you're growing farther apart from that person. And by you yelling, that's like your soul inside trying to reach that person because you feel like you're so far away from them. You feel so distant that you're yelling if they're an inch in front of your face. And I guess people lose themselves in conflict and grow apart in that moment from the person they're talking with. And I would just urge you to look at conflict as an opportunity to grow. Don't be offended by opinions. Look at it as either a fact or made up. And if it's a fact and you don't like the fact, then maybe you should change it. And if it's made up, who cares? But look at conflict as the opportunity to grow. And no matter how much it may hurt your feelings, feel that closeness to the person for even considering to bring up an idea that could help you grow. Because although the idea itself may hurt you, the person themselves are the ones who are helping you grow forward. You should be more mad at the person who doesn't tell you anything but what you want to hear, because what you want to hear is what you already know and believe in. And if I stayed believing in what I believed in when I was 5 years old or 10 or 15, I would not be the person I am today. So I hope I continue to grow into someone new. And that's why the people you surround yourself with have such an impact on who you will become, because they're either going to hold you back or help you grow. And that's a whole nother type of conflict, the people you surround yourself with. But in the end, remember, conflict is good. It's the only way to grow. If you didn't rip a plant apart to put its seedlings in new pots, it would never multiply. So remember that when you're ripping a piece of you out, put a new piece in, it may just make you grow into a bigger and better person.